Hey, before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss stories like this. I never imagined love could fade quietly. You always picture it ending with screaming, slammed doors, or tearful confessions. But sometimes it just dies while two people sit across from each other, scrolling on their phones, pretending everything is normal. I'm Daniel, 36, living just outside Denver. I met Leah 5 years ago at a friend's barbecue, back when her laugh still felt real. She was the kind of woman who made you believe you'd finally found your person. Sharp, witty, impossible to look away from. The first year felt magical. I'd never been so understood. She'd tease me for taking life too seriously. "You overthink everything," she'd say, nudging my arm with a smile. "That's why I like you. You care too much." But over time, that same caring became a joke. It started small, a comment here, a sigh there. If I mentioned something bothering me, like her canceling plans or spending more nights out than in, she'd smirk. "Relax, Daniel. I'm not your warden." I told myself it was stress, work, life, anything but what it truly was: distance. The first real crack came on a Friday night. She returned home late, smelling of gin and someone else's cologne. I asked if she'd been drinking. She rolled her eyes, kicked off her heels, and said, "God, you sound like my dad." That night, I lay awake beside her, staring at the ceiling, feeling a heaviness in my chest. It wasn't jealousy, it was clarity. The kind you don't want but can't ignore. Weeks went by. Conversations grew shorter, laughter rarer. The silence between us stretched longer than the words we managed to say. I tried dinners, small trips, even couples therapy she attended twice before shrugging and saying, "This isn't fixing anything." Maybe she was right. Maybe it was already too late. Then came the night that changed everything. A Tuesday, ordinary. She sat on the couch, scrolling her phone, half smiling at something. I asked if she wanted to order dinner. She didn't look up. "Daniel," she said, almost laughing, "funny how you still think we're a couple." I waited for her to say she was joking. She didn't. "What's that supposed to mean?" I asked. She shrugged. "I mean, come on. We barely talk. We barely touch. You think this is still a relationship." Her tone wasn't angry. It was worse, casual, like she was commenting on the weather. Something inside me shifted. Not rage, not heartbreak, just finality. I stood, walked to the bedroom, and opened the closet. Her side was full: clothes, shoes, perfume she hadn't worn in months. I began packing, slowly and deliberately. No shaking hands. No yelling. She followed me after a minute, confused. "What are you doing?" I zipped the last suitcase and looked at her. "You said we're not a couple." I said quietly. "Your things are packed. Leave." Her eyes widened. "Daniel, stop being dramatic." "I'm not being dramatic." I said, "I'm done." Her face went pale. She laughed nervously. I didn't have to. There's a calm that comes when you finally accept what someone has been showing you all along. I carried the suitcases to the door. She stood there, arms crossed, staring like she didn't recognize me. Her voice cracked slightly. "You're really doing this?" "I'm just finishing what you started," I said, for the first time in months. She had no comeback. She muttered something under her breath, grabbed her keys and phone, and left. The door closing didn't hurt. It sounded like peace. And peace can be loud when you've lived in quiet chaos for too long. That night, I sat on the couch, the same spot where she mocked me. The same glow from the TV flickered across the walls. Only now, there was no perfume, no typing, just a hum of the refrigerator and the rhythm of my own breathing. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel like the problem. I felt free. The next morning, the house felt different. Not empty, lighter, like the air finally had room to move again. I made coffee, sat by the window, and watched the sun climb over the fence. Peace felt strange after years of tension. My phone buzzed. Her name flashed. I didn't answer. She left no message. By noon, guilt crept in, the kind that whispers, "Maybe you overreacted. Maybe she didn't mean it." But then I heard her voice in my head. That mocking laugh. Funny. You still think we're a couple? No, I hadn't overreacted. I had finally reacted. That weekend, I cleaned the house, not angrily, methodically, almost tenderly. Every drawer, every corner, every memory reclaimed. I found a note she'd written years ago in a photo album. You make me feel safe. I stared at it long before tossing it away, not spitefully, but with acceptance. Some people mean what they say only for a season. A few days later, she texted again. Can we talk? I debated, coffee in hand. Curiosity won. I said she could come by that evening. She arrived, looking different, less confident, maybe tired. She didn't step inside right away, just lingered on the porch, arms crossed. Daniel, she said softly, I mean what I said. You know that, right? I exhaled. You meant it enough to say it, I said. Her eyes darted away. I was angry, but angry at what? That I still thought we were worth saving. She didn't answer, just stared at her shoes. Silence stretched again, but this time it wasn't heavy. It was clarifying. I don't hate you, Leah, I said finally. I just can't keep pretending. This feels like love. She looked up. Something flickered in her eyes. Regret, maybe fear. You really want me to go? I already did, I said. You just didn't notice. She tried to smile like the old Leah, but it didn't reach her eyes. She nodded and walked back to her car. No tears, no dramatic goodbye. Just a quiet understanding that this had ended long before tonight. When the door closed, I didn't feel victorious. I felt still. That night, I drove through the city, rain blurring the lights, humming along to the radio. Not happiness, relief. Weeks later, people asked what happened. I told the truth simply. Love dies quietly, not from betrayal or shouting, but from small cruelties that go unnoticed until nothing else remains. I returned to the gym, reconnected with friends, learned to feel silence without needing someone else. Each day, I miss her a little less. Not because she'd been bad, but because I was learning to live without needing her validation. 2 months later, she texted, I hope you're okay. I read it 3 times before replying, I am. That was our last message. Sometimes I remember her laugh, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when nervous. Those memories don't hurt anymore. They just remind me of a man who tried and a woman who stopped. If I learned one thing, it's this. Love can survive almost anything, distance, time, mistakes. But it cannot survive mockery. The moment someone treats your devotion as a joke, they've already gone. Now, when I look around my quiet house, I see space. Space for peace, for clarity, for someone who won't laugh at my belief in commitment. And if she ever wonders what happened, I hope she remembers. I didn't throw her out in anger. I simply stopped living like a guest in my own home. Because sometimes the strongest words aren't I love you or I forgive you. Sometimes they're simply, your things are packed. Get out. And when the door closes, you don't hear goodbye. You hear freedom.